Hello, everybody. Welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Tuesday, the 16th of May. It's a glorious day, so I thought I'd be outside, sit outside on the deck, and record this. Um, in the wake of Jude's passing, I have been taking those moments that I have quietly, that are too quiet now, and watching on my iPad. It's sort of that soap opera style thing that you don't want to admit to. But I've been watching a program called The Royals on Netflix, and it's campy and it is completely, completely unrealistic and really funny, and I'm really enjoying it. It takes my mind off things, but it's not something that is making me, making me realize how wise and wonderful the world is. As a matter of fact, it's really throwing out those things that just sort of say to me like, "What the heck are we thinking?" And one of those things that I heard the other night. I was watching, I think on Friday night I was watching it. I think I actually spoke out loud. Rob had the hockey game on. It was too depressing to watch, and Edmonton wasn't doing very well. And I heard one of the characters say, "Love means never having to say you're sorry." That is completely bullcrap, isn't it? Love means never having to say you're sorry. Like, on what planet is that love? That might be infatuation. That might be like desperation to be with somebody. But no, 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 no. Love is completely the opposite. Love means absolutely having to say you're sorry and recognizing that there are times when you mess up and that you're not perfect. And there are times when you have to ask forgiveness. And there will be times when you love someone when you need to ask forgiveness and you are struggling to understand why you have to ask forgiveness. That's just real. It's just honest. Being in love, loving someone, it's hard work. It's not some kind of easy Harlequin romance thing. It means that you bump up against each other and you have opinions that don't mesh. Whether it's, one person cheering for Edmonton and somebody else cheering for Toronto, or one person talking about, end of life wishes and, I would like to be cremated and buried at sea, and the other person saying, but I don't want to be buried by myself. When we love someone, we have to be willing to enter into those conversations that are really difficult. Those conversations that make us really think, okay, like, how did I ever fall for this person? Are they nuts? Was I nuts? But also those times when we realize that when they're speaking and when we allow them the room to speak, when we allow them the room to speak, and we open our ears that we might hear what they are trying to say, like really trying to say, not just what we hope they're trying to say or what we interpret, what we expect them to say, but when we really listen to what they are trying to say, quite often we might discover that we learn something new, that there are facets of this person that we love that we've never noticed before. Rob and I have been married for 17 and a half years, and we were together for about 2 years before that. So we're coming up on pretty much 20 years of knowing each other. And there are tons of times when I think, "Oh, I know my husband so well. I read him like a book. I know him like the back of my hand. There's nothing will surprise me." And then I'll be chatting away with somebody who works with them or knows them from a in different contexts, and I realize that I've never heard him say that before. Like, they're talking about an aspect of my husband that I've never seen. Now, the insecure little girl part of me gets really wrapped around the axle of that, because, like, I don't like it when someone else knows my husband better than me, especially if this happens to be a woman. And there have been plenty of times when Rob has worked with women on his team when he's been a chaplain, and because of the work they do, because of things like when they've been deployed, when they've been on course together, that they experience things that I will never be a part of that. I will never understand what they've seen. And they come to know each other and respect each other and learn from each other in a way that I can't know. So, yes, indeed, that person may share with me an aspect of my husband that I don't know of myself. But if I love him, I will also not get myself wrapped around the axle about that, because I'll recognize that he is a multifaceted person he isn't only two dimensional. It isn't just what I see that is in my husband. It is all these other things that I may never see, but that make up the person who comes home to me, the person that I love, the person I wake up with, the person that I fight with and just like, "Ugh," but also the person that I cry with and I laugh with, the person that I want to be there by my side when things are the best and when things are the difficult. And nowhere in there have I ever experienced a moment when I thought to myself that the idea that love means never having to say you're sorry. As a matter of fact, I think love means having to say you're sorry a whole heck lot more than you realize you're going to need to. It's just the way it is. When we love someone, when we give our hearts to them and allow them the opportunity to receive all of who we are, we make ourselves incredibly vulnerable. And that means we can get hurt, which means they're going to have opportunities when they can say they're sorry to us, when they have hurt us. Sometimes it might be intentionally. Most often it's probably something that has been said or done unintentionally. And there are going to be those moments when they're finding themselves in a place where they realize that they need to say they're sorry to us, that we need them to apologize to us. But the shoe fits, like the shoe goes on the other foot as well. When we open ourselves to another person and make ourselves that vulnerable in a relationship, it means that they have done the same to us, that they have given themselves in trust to us, and that when we say something snarky because we're upset or we're tired or we're just frustrated, or when we're angry with somebody else, but we take it on them, that indeed we can hurt them, and we need to say, I am sorry. There is no excuse in a real relationship for not saying you're sorry. I know so many times I have been preparing couples for marriage, and they do the dance of, what's your address? And then they have to think because they try to give me a different address for one. It's like, I don't care if you live together. Like, just give me the truth. If I have to find you, where do I find you? And then we get into the bigger questions. How many kids do you want to have? Who does what in the family? Who's going to stay home with the kids if you have kids? And then how do you fight? The number of times I've been told we never fight. We've never had a fight. Either you're lying to a priest, or something's you haven't gone far enough yet. Now, I might be wrong. There may be people out there who have never in their lives had a fight with their spouse, an argument, a tiff, a knockdown, drag out. I hate you. I can't stand you. I just think you should move out. No, don't do that. I didn't mean that. That kind of thing. Like from the little tiny, like, oh, you make me so mad, to the whole, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Everywhere in between. A lot of us have had a lot of those. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's how we deal with them. And for those couples who say to me, well, we've never had a fight, I kind of wonder, are you ready for marriage? Because if you've never had a fight, you've never truly, I bet, opened yourselves up to each other and shared those deeper, darker places in your hearts. Those big questions like what happens if one of you gets sick? What happens if somebody loses a job? What happens if somebody breaks and cheats? Because in my world, cheating is not grounds for divorce. It's grounds for counseling. I'm a for better, for worse, richer for poorer, sickness and health, to death do you part kind of person. So if somebody in the relationship cheats, that's a worse part. That's a sickness part. And how do you work through that? You got to trust me. Love is not never having to say you're sorry. Love is about learning how to say you're sorry a lot. I hope that you are in the kind of relationship that you want to be in. One in which you know that you do have to say you're sorry, but one in which you really understand that you can say you're sorry. And if you're not in a relationship like that, and you hope to be patient. You never know when the right person might come along. And they might come along when you say you're sorry to them. Who knows how a relationship will start. But don't give up, because that whole love meanings you do have to say your story. It's not just about romantic relationships. It's about any kind of relationship worth having. A good friendship, a parent-child, no matter what it is. If we love someone, it means we need to be both humble enough to admit that we're wrong and to apologize and say, I'm sorry. And we need to be gracious enough that when someone else comes to us in humility and says, I'm sorry, that we accept their apology and love them back. Have a great day. God bless. And I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael.